This is the second part of the focus lesson for Chapter 5, Section 3, looking at numbers 28 through 30 in your books. This is the part that takes a little bit more work, which is why we're doing this by itself, and the other parts were kind of a definite review. This here is asking us to write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line passing through two certain points. 28, for example, is asking for the line passing through 0, 3, and 2, 5. And again, trying to teach you how to use the books. Looking up here, it says see problem 4, so let's go ahead and look at problem 4 and see what this is talking about to determine what we need to do on our own. It says, what equation in slope-intercept form represents the line passing through the 2 points? Notice how it gives us 2 points. It says, what do we know, what do we need, and what is our plan? So based off what this says, it says we have a line passing through 2 points, which is what we know. We know we need an equation of a line, and it says our plan is to use the 2 points to find a slope, then use slope in 1 point to solve for the y-intercept. So let's see what it does. It says use the 2 points to find slope. It looks like they have the slope-intercept or the slope formula, so I think what we would have done here is we would have done the chart, or unless you don't use the chart, but for me, I would have done the chart for the 2, 1 going here, 5, negative 8 going here. Notice how you have your negative 8 minus 1 over 5 minus 2. Negative 8 minus 1 turned to negative 9. 5 minus 2 turned into 3. Dividing those two ended up with a slope of negative 3. It says then use the slope and coordinates of one of the points to find b. So it has the y equals mx plus b. They put negative 3 in for m. That's what we found up here. They put a 2 in for x and a 1 for y. Where did they get those? Looks to me like they used this point up here and that slope to plug it in. So notice you had y equals mx plus b. Keep in mind that whenever you plot a point, it's x comma y. So up here 2, 1 means that x is equal to 2, y is equal to 1. So they simply turn y into 1. M, which we found, was negative 3. And x was up here as 2 plus b, and then I don't know where they got all that, so let's go over to the side and work this out. So 1 equals negative 3 times 2 plus b, and this is what you want to kind of do in your own work whenever you're using the book. Negative 3 times 2 would be what? Negative 6 plus b, and if I'm going to solve for b, it means that I need to use the opposite operation to move it. Since that's a negative 6, I will add 6, and that's where it seems like they got the 7 equals b from. And then in the end, it looks like they put m in for, or negative 3 in for m, the number that I found for b, to finish that off. So looks like it's going to be a slight challenge, so just make sure you're paying attention to this, and again, ask questions after I finish it to make sure you get it. So what we're going to do first is find the slope. So slope, using the table, 0, 3 goes first, 2, 5 goes second. Looks like I'm going to do 5 minus 3 over 2 minus 0. 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 minus 0 is 2, which gives me a slope of 1, which is a nice number. And now what I do now that I have slope is I typically just do like the book did, which is to pick one point. I usually put a box or a circle around that point so I know what it is, and then I write the equation y equals mx plus b. Based off of what I have here, y would be the y coordinate of the point, which is 3. M is what I just found, which based off of that is 1. X is the x coordinate of the point, which in this case is 0, plus b. 1 times 0 would be 0 plus b, and of course 0 plus b is just b. So now we have here that m is equal to 1, we have here that 3 is equal to b, and we can go straight to our y equals mx plus b substitution to get y equals 1x plus 3, and of course we don't need the 1, so it would just be x plus 3. Checking that very quickly, we should be able to plug in the x value and get the y as our answer, because that is how you can kind of check your work here. If I took 0 for x, 0 plus 3 is 3, which works. If I took the 2 and plugged it in for x, 2 plus 3 is 5. Notice how it led me to that value of y, which tells me that I did it right. And I can move on with comfort, know that everything's okay there. Pausing if you have questions. 29. Same kind of question, except it's got some negatives in it. Negative 2, 4. 3, negative 1. Again, the first thing we want to do is find m. In order to find m, the first thing I want to do is use my chart to kind of do the same thing I've been used to doing over the last few days. So 2, negative 2, 4, 3, negative 1. That means I'm going to do negative 1 minus 4 over 3 minus negative 2. This turns into negative 5. That turns into a positive 5, giving me a slope of negative 1. Once I have the slope, write down your formula, y equals mx plus b. Choose one of your 2 points to use. Again, kind of highlight it so you don't pick the wrong information. And let's see what happens if we can make it through. Y, again, is the y coordinate from the point, so that would be 4. M is the slope, which I just found to be negative 1. X is the x coordinate from the point, which is negative 2. And then plus b just comes along because that's what we are looking for. Now we simplify the negative 1 times negative 2. Keep in mind that negative times a negative is a positive. In order to get b alone, we have to move this positive 2. The way we move the positive 2 is by subtracting 2 from both sides. 4 minus 2 makes 2. That goes away. Here is your m. Here is your b. And then we directly substitute these things in there. So negative 1x plus 2. Keeping in mind, remember, we don't need the 1, so it's y equals negative x plus 2. And again, let's do a quick check on this. Take that negative 2 and plug it in. The opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. Positive 2 plus 2 is 4, which works. Taking the 3, if I was to put a positive 3 in there, the opposite of 3 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So this seems to be the right answer in both situations. Again, ask questions on this before you let me move on. And once you do get into your groups, just make sure you're asking questions of each other, or raising your hand if you need me over there. As long as you have the notes, I'll try to walk you through them. And this represents the rest of our day.